You know what's crazy? We live on this planet our entire lives, and most of us have no idea what's actually out there. I'm talking about places that look fake, like completely, absolutely fake. Places where the water glows in the dark, mountains that come in every color of the rainbow, a hole in the ground that's been on fire for over 50 years, and nobody can stop it. These are real places, on Earth, right now. We put together a list of 40 of them, and we're counting down from number 40 all the way to number 1. Now here's the thing, the further we go down this list, the more insane it gets. The places at the top? Pretty wild. The places near the end? They don't even look like they belong on this planet. And number 1, honestly, when I first saw it, I had to check 3 times to make sure someone wasn't messing with me. It's that unreal. So do me a favor, stick around, because I promise you, this list only gets better. Alright, let's start with number 40. Number 40, Zhangye, Danxia, China. Coming in at number 40, we're starting with a place that looks like someone took a giant box of crayons and just went to town on an entire mountain range. These are the Rainbow Mountains of China. And yes, that's their actual nickname, because the mountains are literally striped with color. We're talking red, orange, yellow, green, all sitting right next to each other in these huge rolling layers across the rock. Now here's the wild part. This didn't happen overnight. These colors took around 24 million years to form. What happened is, different layers of sandstone and minerals kept stacking on top of each other over millions and millions of years. Then the Earth's plates pushed everything upward and tilted it sideways. So now you can actually see all those layers from the outside, like a giant colorful sandwich that got sliced open. And no, there's no paint involved, no filters. This is just what the mountains look like when you show up. The place is so special that UNESCO stepped in and said, yeah, we need to protect this. So it's officially a protected geological site. Honestly, not a bad way to kick off this list. Number 39, Waitomo Glowworm Caves, New Zealand. Number 39 takes us underground. And honestly, this one feels like something out of a fairy tale. Picture this. You step inside a dark cave in New Zealand. It's quiet, really quiet. You get into a small boat and someone pushes you out onto the still, calm water. You look up at the ceiling and it looks like a night sky full of stars. Thousands of tiny blue-green lights covering every inch above your head. But here's the thing, those aren't stars, they're worms. Yeah, tiny little glowworms. Thousands of them stuck to the ceiling of this cave, glowing in the dark. And they're not even fully grown worms, they're actually larvae. Baby bugs, basically. So why do they glow? Because they're hungry. Each little worm hangs sticky silk threads down from the ceiling, kind of like a fishing line. Then they light up their bodies to attract small insects. The bugs fly toward the light, get stuck on the threads, and that's dinner. It's beautiful and kind of creepy at the same time, but mostly beautiful. You're just floating through in total silence, looking up at a fake sky made by tiny glowing babies. Nature is weird, man. Number 38, Lake Hillier, Australia. Number 38 is a lake, but not just any lake. This lake is pink. Like bubblegum pink, like someone dumped 1 million bottles of strawberry milkshake into it. No filter, no trick, no special camera. Just a straight-up pink lake sitting on a small island off the coast of Western Australia. The first time people see pictures of Lake Hillier, most of them say the same thing. That's photoshopped. And I get it. A pink lake sounds made up, but it's completely real. Now you're probably wondering, why is it pink? Scientists have been asking that same question for a long time. And the best answer they've got is that it comes from a mix of special algae and bacteria living in the water. These tiny organisms produce a reddish-pink pigment, and when there are enough of them, the whole lake turns pink. But here's the part that really gets people. If you scoop up some of that water and pour it into a glass, it's still pink. It doesn't go clear. It doesn't change. Just a glass of pink water sitting on your table. That's not normal. But then again, nothing on this list is. Number 37. Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. Number 37 is a place where the ground and the sky become the same thing. Sounds impossible, right? Just wait. This is Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia. It's the largest salt flat on the entire planet. We're talking over 10,000 square kilometers of perfectly flat white salt stretching out in every direction. It's so flat and so big that when you stand in the middle of it, you feel like you're on another planet. There's just nothing around you, just white ground and blue sky. But the real magic happens when it rains. When a thin layer of rainwater covers the salt, something incredible takes place. The ground turns into a giant mirror, and I mean a perfect mirror. The sky reflects so clearly on the surface that you literally cannot tell where the ground ends and the sky begins. You look down and you see clouds under your feet. It messes with your brain. People travel from all over the world just to stand there and take that one photo where it looks like they're walking on the sky. Oh, and one more thing. This salt flat holds about 70% of the world's lithium. You know, the stuff inside your phone battery. Number 36. Pamukkale, Turkey. Number 36 looks like a frozen waterfall made of snow. But if you touched it, you'd realize it's warm, really warm. This is Pamukkale in Turkey. The name means cotton castle, and honestly, that's a pretty perfect name for it. Because what you're looking at is a hillside covered in bright white terraces, these smooth, curved ledges stacked on top of each other. And each one is filled with warm, light blue water. So what made this? Hot springs. Water from underground comes up to the surface carrying a mineral called calcium carbonate. As the water flows down the hillside and cools off, that mineral gets left behind, layer after layer after layer. Over thousands of years, it built up into these stunning white terraces that look like something from a dream. And people figured out a long time ago that this place was special. We're talking thousands of years ago. The ancient Romans loved it so much that they built an entire city right on top of it called Hierapolis. They used the warm pools like a spa. And honestly, people still do the same thing today. You can actually walk on the terraces in bare feet and dip into the water. Same spot, same warm water, thousands of years later. Number 35. Antelope Canyon, USA. Number 35 is hiding in the Arizona desert. From the outside, it doesn't look like much, just a narrow crack in the ground. But the moment you step inside, your brain stops working for a second. This is Antelope Canyon. It's what they call a slot canyon, basically a super narrow passage carved deep into the sandstone, and the walls inside are unbelievable. They're smooth, curvy, and flowing, like someone took solid rock and turned it into ocean waves. Every surface just rolls and swirls into the next one. But the best part is the light. When the sun is at just the right angle, beams of sunlight shoot straight down into the canyon from above. And when that light hits the orange and red sandstone walls, the whole place glows. It looks like the rocks are on fire from the inside. So how did this place form? Flash floods. Over millions of years, rainwater rushed through these narrow cracks in the rock, smoothing and shaping everything into what you see today. Now here's something important. Antelope Canyon sits on Navajo Nation land. That means you can't just walk in on your own. You need a Navajo guided tour to visit. It's their land, their rules, and their beautiful canyon. Number 34. Giant's Causeway, Northern Ireland. Number 34 looks like somebody spent years carefully stacking rocks into perfect shapes. Straight edges, flat tops, neat little columns all lined up next to each other. It looks totally man-made. But nobody built this. Nature did it all by itself. This is the Giant's Causeway on the coast of Northern Ireland, and what you're looking at is around 40,000 stone columns rising up out of the ground and stretching right into the sea. Most of them have 6 sides, like a honeycomb or a pencil, and they fit together so perfectly that it honestly looks like some kind of puzzle. So, how did this happen? About 60 million years ago, a massive volcanic eruption sent hot lava flowing across this area. When that lava cooled down really slowly, it cracked in a very specific pattern, and that pattern created these columns. It's the same kind of thing that happens when mud dries and cracks in the sun, just on a way bigger scale, and with rock instead of mud. Now the locals have a different explanation. The old legend says a giant named Finn McCool built it as a bridge to walk across the sea to Scotland to fight another giant. Science or giants? Pick your favorite. Number 33. Plitvice Lakes, Croatia. Number 33 is the kind of place that makes you wonder why you've been going to the same beach every summer. This is Plitvice Lakes in Croatia. 16 lakes, all connected to each other by waterfalls. Big waterfalls, small waterfalls, waterfalls pouring off ledges into the next lake down. The whole thing flows together like one giant staircase made of water. But the part that really gets people is the color. These lakes change color throughout the day. In the morning, the water might look deep green. By afternoon, bright blue. On a cloudy day, it shifts to this soft gray. It all depends on the sunlight, the angle, and what minerals are in the water at that spot. And the best way to see it all? Wooden walkways. They built these narrow paths right over the water so you can walk across the lakes. You're literally stepping just a few inches above the surface, looking straight down into crystal clear water with fish swimming underneath you. The whole park is one of the oldest national parks in Southeast Europe. It's been protected since 1949, and once you see it, you understand why. Some places are just too beautiful to mess with. Number 32. Door to Hell, Turkmenistan. Number 32 is on fire, literally. And it has been for over 50 years. Right in the middle of the Turkmenistan desert, there's a giant hole in the ground, about 70 meters wide, and the entire thing is filled with flames, burning gas, day and night, year after year, since 1971. They call it the door to hell, and honestly, if you saw it at night, glowing orange in the middle of a dark, empty desert, you'd probably agree with that name. So, how did this happen? Back in 1971, Soviet engineers were drilling in this area looking for natural gas, and they found some. A little too much, actually. The ground collapsed and opened up this massive crater. Gas started leaking out everywhere. Now the engineers got worried. They thought the gas could be dangerous for people living nearby. So their plan was simple: light it on fire and let it burn off. They figured it would take a few weeks, maybe a month. That was over 50 years ago, and it's still burning. Nobody has been able to put it out. The gas just keeps coming from deep underground. So the fire just keeps going, week after week, year after year, decade after decade. Number 31. Fly Geyser, USA. Number 31 is a mistake, a beautiful, weird, totally accidental mistake. Out in the Nevada desert, there's this small mound sitting in the middle of nowhere. It's only about 5 feet tall, but it's covered in bright reds, greens, and yellows. And hot water shoots out of the top of it all day long. It looks like a tiny alien volcano that landed in the desert. This is Fly Geyser, and it was never supposed to exist. Back in 1964, some workers were drilling a well in this area, looking for hot water they could use for energy. They drilled down, hit a geothermal pocket, and then just kind of left it. They moved on. But the hot water kept coming up. And as it came up, it brought minerals with it. Those minerals started building up around the opening, layer by layer, year by year. Slowly, this colorful little mound grew out of the ground. The bright colors come from something called thermophilic algae, tiny living things that love heat and produce all those wild greens and reds on the surface. Nobody planned this. Nobody designed it. The Earth just made it on its own after humans accidentally opened the door. Today, the Burning Man project owns the land where it sits. Number 30, Socotra Island, Yemen. All right, we just crossed into the top 30, and things are about to get a lot stranger. Number 30 is an island, but the moment you see it, you'll think someone dropped you on a completely different planet. This is Socotra Island, off the coast of Yemen, and the trees here look like nothing you've ever seen before. The most famous ones are called dragon blood trees. They've got thick trunks, and then at the top, the branches spread out and flatten into this wide, dense canopy. They look like inside-out umbrellas, or maybe giant mushrooms. Either way, they don't look like anything that should be growing on Earth. So why do the plants here look so strange? Because Socotra has been cut off from the mainland for millions of years. It just sat out there in the ocean, all alone. And over that time, the plants and animals on the island evolved in their own direction. They didn't have to compete with species from other places. So they turned into something completely unique. How unique? About 1/3 of the plant species on Socotra don't exist anywhere else on the planet. You literally cannot find them in any other country, any other forest, any other island. Only here. Number 29, Marble Caves, Chile. Number 29 is one of those places that looks so perfect, your brain just refuses to believe it's real. Deep in the south of Chile, there's a lake called General Carrera. It's a big, clear, beautiful lake. But the real magic is at the edges, where the water meets the rock. Because right there, carved into the shoreline, are caves made entirely of marble. Smooth, swirling blue and white marble everywhere you look. The walls curve and twist in these soft, flowing patterns, and the water below reflects light up onto the marble, so the whole cave seems to glow from the inside. So how did these caves form? Waves. Just regular waves from the lake, hitting the same rock over and over again for thousands of years. Slowly, patiently, the water carved out these incredible shapes in the marble. No machines, no tools, just water and time doing their thing. And here's something cool. The caves don't always look the same. The colors actually change with the seasons. In summer, when the water is deeper and darker, the marble glows a rich, deep blue. In spring, when glacial melt makes the water lighter, everything shifts to a soft turquoise. Same caves, different show every time you visit. Number 28, Tianzi Mountains, China. If you've seen the movie Avatar, you already know what this place looks like. You just didn't know it was real. Remember those floating mountains in the movie? Those giant rock pillars hanging in the clouds with green stuff growing all over them? Well, they didn't come from someone's imagination. They came from a real place in China called the Tianzi Mountains. These are tall, skinny pillars of sandstone that shoot straight up out of the ground like stone towers. Some of them are over 1,000 meters tall, and they're covered in trees and plants clinging to the sides. On a foggy day, the clouds wrap around the middle of the pillars and the tops poke out above, so it genuinely looks like the rocks are floating in the air. And this isn't just a fan theory. James Cameron's team actually came here while they were working on Avatar. They saw these mountains, took pictures, studied them, and used them as direct inspiration for the movie. After the film came out, China even renamed one of the pillars the Avatar Hallelujah Mountain. That's how closely connected the two are. So yeah, those alien mountains from one of the biggest movies ever made, they exist. In China, right now. Number 27. Kawah Ijen, Indonesia. Number 27 is a volcano, but forget everything you think you know about volcanoes, because this one doesn't burn orange, it burns blue. This is Kawah Ijen in Indonesia, and at night, bright blue flames pour out of cracks in the rock near the top of the crater. Not small little flickers either. Big electric blue flames that light up the whole mountainside. It looks like someone set the ground on fire with blue paint. So what's going on here? Deep inside the volcano, there's a lot of sulfuric gas. When that gas escapes through the cracks and hits the open air, it catches fire. And sulfur doesn't burn orange like regular fire. It burns blue. That's it. No tricks, just chemistry doing something incredible. But the crater isn't just about the flames. Down at the bottom, there's a lake. And this is no regular lake. It's the largest acidic lake in the world. The water is a pale turquoise color, and it's so acidic it can eat through metal. And here's the part that's hard to believe. Local miners actually climb down into this crater every single day to collect chunks of solid sulfur by hand. They carry heavy loads back up on their shoulders. No safety gear, no machines. It's considered one of the most dangerous jobs on the planet. Number 26. Spotted Lake, Canada. Number 26 looks completely normal for most of the year. Just a regular lake in British Columbia, Canada. Nothing special. You'd drive right past it. But then, summer comes. The water starts to evaporate. Slowly, something really strange happens. The lake turns into hundreds of circles. Big, round, colorful pools sitting side by side across the entire lake bed. Yellow ones, green ones, blue ones. All separated by narrow strips of dry, crusty minerals. It looks like a giant polka dot painting that nature made on its own. So why does this happen? This lake is loaded with minerals. We're talking magnesium sulfate, calcium, sodium, and a bunch of other stuff dissolved in the water. When the hot summer sun evaporates the water, all those minerals get left behind. Different minerals settle in different spots, and each one produces a different color. That's why you get this crazy patchwork of colorful circles. Now here's something really important about this place. Spotted Lake is sacred to the indigenous Silex people who have lived in this area for a very long time. They call it Hillier. They've always believed the lake has healing properties and it holds deep cultural and spiritual meaning for their community. So it's not just beautiful, it's meaningful. Number 25. Deadvlei, Namibia. Number 25 is a photograph that people always think is a painting, but it's a real place. And it might be one of the most hauntingly beautiful spots on Earth. This is Deadvlei in Namibia. Picture a flat, cracked white clay pan, completely dry. And standing on that white ground are dark, black, dead trees. No leaves, no bark, just these bare, twisted skeletons reaching up into the sky. And behind them, towering walls of bright orange sand dunes. Some of the tallest sand dunes in the world, rising up to 400 meters. White ground, black trees, orange dunes, blue sky. It looks like someone painted it with 4 colors and called it a masterpiece. So what happened here? About 900 years ago, this area actually had water. The trees were alive and growing. But then, the climate shifted. The sand dunes moved in and blocked the river that fed this spot. The water dried up. The trees died. But here's the wild part. They never decomposed. It's so unbelievably dry in this desert that the wood just couldn't break down. So these trees have been standing here, dead, for almost 1,000 years, frozen in time. The name Deadvlei, it means dead marsh. And that's exactly what it is. Number 24. Cappadocia, Turkey. Number 24 is a place that looks like it belongs in a storybook. And people have been living inside it for thousands of years. This is Cappadocia in Turkey. The landscape is covered with these tall, cone-shaped rock formations poking up out of the ground everywhere. They call them fairy chimneys. Some are short and stubby, others are tall and thin with big round tops, like giant stone mushrooms scattered across the land. So how did they form? Millions of years ago, volcanoes in this area erupted and covered everything in thick layers of ash. Over time, that ash hardened into soft rock. Then wind and rain went to work. They slowly carved the softer parts away, but left the harder parts standing. And that's how you get these wild shapes. But here's where it gets really interesting. Ancient people looked at these rock towers and thought, why not live inside them? Engaging people carved homes, churches, and storage rooms right into the rock. They even built entire underground cities beneath the surface. Some of them went 8 or 9 levels deep and could hide thousands of people. And today, Cappadocia is famous for one more thing: hot air balloons. Every morning, hundreds of colorful balloons float over those fairy chimneys at sunrise. It's one of the most photographed scenes in the entire world. Number 23. Vatnajökull Ice Caves, Iceland. Number 23 will make you feel like you stepped inside a giant blue gemstone. In Iceland, there's a glacier called Vatnajökull. It's the largest glacier in all of Europe. And hidden underneath it are ice caves that look absolutely unreal. You walk in and everything around you is blue. The walls, the ceiling, the ground, all ice. But not regular ice like you'd see in your freezer. This ice is thick, ancient, and crystal clear. It glows this deep, rich blue that makes you feel like you're standing inside a frozen ocean. So why is it so blue? Well, it comes down to pressure. This ice has been building up for hundreds and hundreds of years, layer after layer packed down on top of each other. All that weight squeezed out every tiny air bubble. And when ice has no air bubbles in it, something cool happens. It absorbs every color of light except blue. So blue is all you see. Now, here's the thing about these caves. They don't last. The glacier is always moving and shifting. Every year, old caves collapse and new ones open up. The cave you visit this winter might not exist next winter. It could be gone forever. So every single ice cave you step into is basically a one-time thing. Temporary art made by nature. Number 22. Bioluminescent Bays, Puerto Rico. Number 22 is one of those places that sounds made up until you actually see it happen. Imagine this. You're in Puerto Rico. It's nighttime. You wade into the warm ocean water, and every move you make, every splash, every ripple, the water around you lights up. A bright blue-green glow wraps around your hands, your arms, your whole body. You drag your fingers through the water, and it leaves a trail of light behind them. It looks like actual magic, but it's science. The water here is filled with millions of tiny, tiny organisms called dinoflagellates. They're so small, you can't even see them. But when something touches them or moves the water around them, they flash. They produce a quick burst of light as a defense reaction. And when there are millions of them all flashing at once, the entire bay glows. The brightest spot in the world for this is Mosquito Bay on the island of Vieques in Puerto Rico. And when they say bright, they mean it. Scientists have estimated that just 1 gallon of this water holds about 720,000 of these organisms. That's nearly 750,000 tiny living lights in a single gallon. You could scoop up a bucket of water and hold a glowing bucket in your hands. That's just how this place works. Number 21. The Wave, USA. Number 21 brings us back to Arizona, and this one is so exclusive that most people who try to visit never even get in. This is the Wave. It's a rock formation tucked away in a remote part of the desert near the Utah border, and it looks exactly like its name. The rock flows and curves in smooth, rolling layers that look like ocean waves frozen in solid stone. Orange, red, Yellow and white stripes swirl around each other in every direction. It's like someone stirred a pot of melted sunset and then let it harden. These rocks are old, really old. We're talking Jurassic Age sandstone, the same era as the dinosaurs. Over millions of years, wind and rain slowly shaped this rock into the swirling, layered patterns you see today. Every curve and every line tells a story of time doing its work. Now, here's the catch. You can't just show up and walk in. Only 64 people are allowed to visit per day. That's it. You have to enter a permit lottery and hope your name gets picked. Thousands of people apply. Most of them don't get in. That's how protected and how popular this place is. Some people try for years before they finally get lucky. All right, now we're entering the top 20. Every single place from here on out will make your jaw drop. Number 20, Panjin Red Beach, China. We're in the top 20 now, and number 20 is a beach that looks like it's been dipped in red paint. This is Panjin Red Beach in China, and the first time you see it, your brain tries to figure out what went wrong, because the ground is red, not a little reddish, full-on deep, bright red, stretching out as far as you can see. But here's the thing, it's not sand, it's not rock, it's not mud, it's alive. The red color comes from a type of plant called sueta. It's a kind of seaweed that grows all across this massive wetland area. For most of the year, it's green, just like any other plant. But when autumn rolls around, something changes. The plant starts turning red. And because it covers such a huge area, the entire landscape transforms into this unbelievable red carpet. It's one of the largest reed marshes in the world, and it's not just pretty to look at, it's actually super important for nature. Hundreds of species of birds use this area as a rest stop during their long migration journeys. Some of them fly thousands of miles, and this red beach is where they land to eat and recharge. So it's beautiful, and it's keeping entire bird populations alive. Not bad for a bunch of seaweed. Number 19, Lake Retba, Senegal. Number 19 is another pink lake, but this one hits different. This is Lake Retba, or Lac Rose, just outside the capital city of Senegal in West Africa. And yes, the water is pink. Bright strawberry milkshake pink. But unlike Lake Hillier back at number 38, this lake has a little bonus feature. It's so salty that you float on top of it without even trying. We're talking salt levels up to 40%. For comparison, regular ocean water is about 3.5%, so this lake is more than 10 times saltier than the sea. You get in the water and your body just rises. You couldn't sink if you wanted to. The pink color comes from tiny algae called Dunaliella that live in the salty water. They produce a reddish pigment to protect themselves from the sun, and when there are enough of them, the whole lake goes pink. And people actually work in this lake every day. Salt collectors wade in for hours, scooping salt off the bottom by hand. They rub shea butter on their skin to protect it from the harsh salt. It's hard physical work, and they've been doing it for generations. One more fun fact. This lake used to be the official finish line for the famous Paris-Dakar rally. Racers would cross deserts and mountains just to end up at a pink lake. Number 18, Hang Son Doong, Vietnam. Number 18 is not just a cave, it's a whole world hidden underground. This is Hang Son Doong in Vietnam, and it's the largest cave on the planet. When I say large, I don't mean you can walk around comfortably inside it. I mean you could fit an entire city block in there. The main chamber is over 5 kilometers long, 200 meters tall, and wide enough that a 747 airplane could fly through it without touching the walls. But the size isn't even the craziest part. This cave has its own jungle, real trees, real plants, real life growing inside a cave. How? In a couple of spots, the ceiling collapsed a long time ago and created massive openings called skylights. Sunlight pours through those holes, rain falls in, and over time, a full jungle grew right there on the cave floor. And because the cave is so massive, it actually creates its own weather. Clouds form inside it. Actual clouds, floating around inside a cave. Let that sink in for a second. Now here's something that blows my mind. A local man stumbled across the entrance in 1991, but nobody fully explored it until 2009. That means the largest cave on Earth was basically unknown to the outside world until pretty recently. We walked on the moon before we found this cave. Number 17. Fingal's Cave, Scotland. Number 17 is a cave that sings. Off the west coast of Scotland, there's a tiny uninhabited island called Staffa, and carved into the side of that island is Fingal's Cave, a sea cave made almost entirely of tall hexagonal stone columns. Six-sided pillars packed tightly together, lining the walls and the ceiling like the inside of a giant pipe organ. If that sounds familiar, it should. These are the same type of basalt columns we saw at the Giant's Causeway back at number 34. Same kind of ancient volcanic eruption, same slow cooling process that cracked the rock into those perfect geometric shapes. The two sites are actually connected by the same lava flow from millions of years ago. But Fingal's Cave has something the Giant's Causeway doesn't: sound. When ocean waves roll into the cave, they bounce off all those columns and echo through the hollow space inside. Deep, resonant, booming sound that fills the entire cave. Almost like the cave is humming or breathing. Back in 1829, a composer named Felix Mendelssohn visited this cave. He stood inside, listened to those sounds, and was so moved that he went home and wrote a famous piece of orchestral music inspired by it. The cave was so beautiful, it literally became a song. Number 16. Tsingy de Bemoraha, Madagascar. Number 16 is a place where even the ground is trying to hurt you. This is Tsingy de Bemoraha in Madagascar, and it's basically a forest made of stone knives. Thousands and thousands of tall, thin, razor-sharp limestone spikes poking straight up out of the earth, packed tightly together as far as the eye can see. Some of them are over 70 meters tall, and the edges on these things are so sharp they can slice through equipment and clothing like a blade. The word Tsingy in the local language roughly translates to where one cannot walk barefoot. And yeah, that's about right. So how did this happen? A long time ago, this area was underwater. Layers of limestone built up on the ocean floor. Then the water pulled back, the land rose up, and rain went to work. Over millions of years, rainwater dissolved the softer parts of the limestone and left behind these hard, narrow, pointed towers. Now here's the part that seems impossible. Animals actually live here. Lemurs, those big-eyed, fluffy creatures found only in Madagascar, jump around on these razor-sharp rocks like it's nothing. They leap from spike to spike with their bare hands and feet, completely unbothered. Meanwhile, a human can barely cross 10 feet without a harness. Nature built a fortress, and the lemurs just moved right in. Number 15. Abraham Lake, Canada. Number 15 is beautiful. It's also kind of dangerous, and that combination makes it unforgettable. This is Abraham Lake in Alberta, Canada. In the summer, it looks like any other nice mountain lake. Clear water, pretty views, nothing too crazy. But in winter, when the lake freezes over, something absolutely wild appears beneath the surface. Thousands of white bubbles, trapped under the ice, stacked on top of each other in these tall, frozen columns. Big ones near the bottom, smaller ones closer to the top. All suspended in perfectly clear ice, like someone froze a science experiment in place. So what are they? Methane gas. Here's how it works. Dead plants and organic materials sitting at the bottom of the lake start to decompose. As they break down, they release methane gas. That gas rises up through the water in the form of bubbles, but when the lake starts freezing from the top down, those bubbles get trapped. Layer after layer. Each new freeze catches a new batch of bubbles. And by the time winter fully sets in, the whole lake is filled with these stacked, frozen columns of gas. Now here's where it gets a little wild. Methane is flammable. If you poke a hole in the ice and hold a match over it, it lights on fire, a flame shooting right out of a frozen lake. Beautiful to look at. Just maybe don't stand too close. Number 14. Chocolate Hills, Philippines. Number 14 looks like a giant kid made a bunch of perfect little hills out of Play-Doh and just scattered them everywhere. This is the Chocolate Hills in Bohol, Philippines, and there are over 1,200 of them, all nearly the same shape, smooth, round, and evenly spread across the landscape in every direction. During the rainy season, they're covered in green grass and look like a field of soft green domes. But when the dry season hits, that's when the magic happens. The grass dries out and turns brown, rich, dark brown. And suddenly, those 1,200 smooth little hills look exactly like giant chocolate drops sitting on a tray. That's how they got the name. Now here's the interesting part. Nobody is totally sure how they formed. Scientists have a few ideas. Some think they're the remains of ancient coral reefs that got pushed above sea level and then eroded into these round shapes over time. Others have different theories, but there's no single answer everyone agrees on. After all this time, the Chocolate Hills are still kind of a mystery. What we do know is that they're special enough to be proposed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And the local people are incredibly proud of them. They even put the Chocolate Hills on their provincial flag. Over 1,000 hills, same shape, no explanation. Just nature being mysterious. Number 13. Lençóis Maranhenses, Brazil. Number 13 breaks the rules of nature because this is a desert that's full of water. This is Lençóis Maranhenses in northeastern Brazil. When you first see it, it looks like a classic desert, rolling white sand dunes stretching out for miles. But then you notice something that doesn't make sense. Between the dunes, there are pools of water, crystal clear, bright blue and green lagoons sitting right there in the middle of all that sand. Hundreds of them. How is that even possible? Here's the trick. This place looks like a desert, but it doesn't act like one. Most deserts get barely any rain. This area gets about 47 inches of rain per year. That's more than some cities. So every rainy season, from around January to June, water pours down and collects in the valleys between the dunes. By June through September, the lagoons are at their fullest. Some are deep enough to swim in. Warm, clear water surrounded by white sand under a blue sky. Then slowly, as the dry season takes over, the lagoons start to shrink. Some disappear completely, and the whole cycle starts again the next year. So it's a desert that fills up with swimming pools every summer and then empties them out by winter. This place really can't decide what it wants to be. Number 12. Lake Baikal, Russia. Number 12 holds more records than any other lake on Earth. And when winter arrives, it turns into one of the most stunning things you'll ever see. This is Lake Baikal in Siberia, Russia. It's the deepest lake on the planet, over 1,600 meters deep. It holds about 20% of all the unfrozen freshwater in the entire world. Just one lake, 1/5 of everything we've got. Let that sink in. But the real show starts in winter. When Lake Baikal freezes, the ice doesn't look normal. It looks like someone shattered a giant piece of turquoise glass and laid it across the surface. Huge chunks and cracks of bright blue-green ice stretching out in every direction. The ice is so thick you can drive a car on it, but it's also so clear that you can look straight down and see 40 meters into the water below. It's like standing on a window into another world. And this lake is old. Not hundreds of years old, not thousands, about 25 million years old. That makes it the oldest lake on the planet. It was here before humans, before most of the animals we know today. It's been sitting here, holding its water for 25 million years. Everything about this lake is extreme. Deepest, oldest, clearest. Its nature showing off its best numbers. Number 11. The Northern Lights. Number 11 is the one place on this list you don't visit on the ground. You visit it by looking up. The Northern Lights. Green, purple, pink, and sometimes even red, all swirling and dancing slowly across the night sky like someone is painting with light in real time. It's one of those things that no picture and no video can truly capture. You have to be standing there, in the cold, looking up with your own eyes to really feel it. So what causes this? The sun. Our sun is constantly throwing tiny particles out into space. When those particles travel all the way to Earth and smash into our atmosphere, they bump into gas molecules in the air. And when that happens, those molecules light up. Different gases produce different colors. Oxygen gives you green and red. Nitrogen gives you purple and pink. The best places to see them are near the Arctic Circle: Norway, Iceland, Finland, northern Canada, and Alaska. Winter is the best time because the nights are long and dark. And here's something a lot of people don't know. This doesn't only happen in the north. The exact same thing occurs near the South Pole too. Down there, they call it the Southern Lights, or Aurora Australis. Same science, same beauty, just on the other end of the planet. We've now reached the top 10, and trust me, these places are on a completely different level. Number 10. Zhangye Glass Bridge, China. Top 10, let's go. And we're starting with something that would make most people's legs turn to jelly. This is the Zhangye Glass Bridge in China. A bridge made almost entirely of glass, hanging 300 meters above a deep canyon. That's roughly the height of a 100-story building, and you can see straight through the floor. Every step you take, you look down and there's nothing but air and a canyon far, far below your feet. The bridge is 430 meters long. When it opened in 2016, it was the longest and highest glass-bottomed bridge in the world. And the canyon it crosses? That's the same area with those incredible sandstone pillars we talked about at number 28, the same mountains that inspired Avatar. So not only are you walking on glass 300 meters up, the view around you is already one of the most unreal landscapes on the planet. Now, you might be wondering, is it safe? Well, before they opened it to the public, engineers tested it, and they didn't go easy. They hit the glass panels with sledgehammers, they drove a car across it, they loaded it with way more weight than it would ever need to hold. It passed every single test. But knowing it's safe and actually walking on it are two very different things. Your brain knows the glass will hold. Your knees aren't so sure. Number 9. Ik Kil Cenote, Mexico. Number 9 feels like finding a secret pool hidden inside the earth. This is Ik Kil Cenote in Mexico. A cenote is basically a natural sinkhole, a place where the ground collapsed and revealed a deep pool of water underneath. And Ik Kil is one of the most beautiful ones in the world. Picture a big circular hole in the ground. The walls are covered in green plants and moss. Long vines hang down from the edges, dangling all the way toward the water about 85 feet below. And at the bottom, perfectly clear turquoise water just sitting there. Calm, soft, still, glowing in the sunlight that filters down from above. It looks like a scene from a fantasy movie, but people actually swim in it. You climb down a carved staircase, step into the cool water, and float around in this ancient underground pool while vines sway above your head. The water stays cool all year round, which feels amazing in the Mexican heat. Now, here's what makes this place even more special. It's located right near Chichen Itza, one of the most famous ancient Maya sites in the world. The Maya didn't see cenotes as just swimming holes. They believed these were sacred gateways to the underworld. They held ceremonies here, made offerings. These pools meant everything to them. So you're not just swimming in pretty water. You're floating in a place that was considered holy for over 1,000 years. Number 8. The Great Blue Hole, Belize. Number 8 is best seen from the sky, because when you look down from above, you'll see something that doesn't seem like it should exist in the middle of an ocean. A perfect, dark blue circle surrounded by light turquoise water on all sides, just sitting there, like the ocean has an eye and it's staring straight back at you. This is the Great Blue Hole off the coast of Belize. It's a marine sinkhole, a massive underwater hole over 300 meters across and 124 meters deep. The shallow water around it is light and bright, but the hole itself drops so deep that the water turns this intense, dark navy blue. That contrast is what makes it look so unreal from above. So how did a giant hole end up in the middle of the ocean? Thousands of years ago, during the last ice age, sea levels were much lower. This spot was dry land with a limestone cave underneath. The cave collapsed and created a sinkhole. Then, when the ice melted and the oceans rose, water flooded in and swallowed the whole thing. The famous ocean explorer Jacques Cousteau visited this place back in the 1970s. He went diving inside it, explored the underwater stalactites hanging from the walls, and called it one of the top scuba diving sites in the world. Coming from him, that's basically the highest compliment the ocean can get. Number 7. Eye of the Sahara, Mauritania. Number 7 is so big you literally can't see it from the ground. You have to go to space. Right in the middle of the Sahara Desert in Mauritania, there's a giant circular formation, rings inside of rings inside of rings, stretching about 40 kilometers across. From the sky, or from satellite images, it looks exactly like a massive bullseye stamped into the desert floor. They call it the Eye of the Sahara, or the Richat structure if you want to get technical. When scientists first spotted it, they were sure a meteor must have slammed into the earth and created it. A crater that size had to be an impact. But when they studied it more closely, they didn't find any of the evidence you'd expect from a meteor hit. No melted rock, no shock minerals, nothing. So what made it? The current best theory is that it started as a geological dome, a big bubble of rock pushed up from underground. Over millions of years, wind and erosion wore away the softer layers and left the harder rings exposed. Nature basically peeled it like an onion. But here's where it gets really interesting. Some researchers have looked at this structure and noticed something. Its size, its shape, its location, they say it matches old descriptions of the lost city of Atlantis written by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Now, that's not proven, not even close, but the theory is out there and it refuses to go away. A 40-kilometer mystery hiding in plain sight, in the middle of the biggest desert on Earth. Number 6. Victoria Falls, Zambia/Zimbabwe. Number 6 is loud, like you can hear it before you even see it. This is Victoria Falls. It sits right on the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe in southern Africa, and it is the largest waterfall on Earth by total area. Over 1,700 meters wide and 108 meters tall. That's more than a kilometer of water pouring over a cliff edge all at once. The amount of water that goes over this thing is almost hard to imagine. During the wet season, about 500 million liters of water drop over the edge every single minute. And when all that water crashes at the bottom, it sends up a massive cloud of mist and spray that rises hundreds of meters into the air. You can see it from 50 kilometers away. That's why the local Kololo people named it Mosi Oatunya, which means the smoke that thunders, because from a distance it literally looks like smoke rising from the ground. And the sound never stops. Now here's the part that makes people's hearts skip. Right at the very edge of the falls, there's a natural rock pool called Devil's Pool. During the dry season, when the water level drops, you can actually swim in it. You're sitting in a little pool of calm water with a rock ledge stopping you, And right next to you, the waterfall drops 108 meters straight down. One of the most thrilling and terrifying swimming experiences on the planet. Number 5. Mount Roraima, Venezuela, Brazil, Guyana. We're in the top 5 now, and number 5 looks like someone took a mountain and sliced the top off with a giant knife. This is Mount Roraima. It sits where 3 countries meet, Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana. And it's not shaped like any mountain you've ever seen. Instead of a peak, it has a completely flat top. Straight vertical walls on every side shooting up through the clouds, and then just a flat table sitting on top. Like someone built a giant stone platform in the sky. And this mountain is old, really, really old, about 2 billion years old. That makes it one of the oldest geological formations on the entire planet. Slow, dramatic, it was here long before the dinosaurs, long before almost everything. Because the top has been cut off from the world below for so long, it became its own little ecosystem. The plants and animals up there evolved on their own. Some of them exist nowhere else. It's like a tiny, secret world floating above the clouds. Now, if this mountain reminds you of something, there's a reason. Arthur Conan Doyle, the guy who created Sherlock Holmes, heard stories about Mount Roraima and wrote a novel called The Lost World about explorers finding dinosaurs on top of a flat mountain. And many people believe it also inspired the floating paradise in the movie Up. A 2-billion-year-old mountain that inspired books and movies, and it's still just sitting there, waiting. Number 4. Grand Prismatic Spring, USA. Number 4 is hiding inside Yellowstone National Park, and from above it looks like the Earth opened one giant colorful eye and is staring straight up at the sky. This is the Grand Prismatic Spring. It's the largest hot spring in all of America, about 90 meters across. And the colors on this thing are absolutely insane. Deep blue in the center, then green, then yellow, then orange, then red around the edges. A perfect rainbow of color radiating outward from the middle like a bullseye. So what's creating all those colors? Life. Tiny little bacteria that absolutely love heat. Different types of bacteria live at different temperatures, and each type produces a different color. Around the edges, where the water is a bit cooler, you get reds and oranges. Further in, where it's warmer, yellows and greens take over. But the very center? Nothing lives there. The water in the middle is about 70 degrees Celsius. That's around 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Way too hot for even the toughest bacteria. So the center stays this pure, deep crystal blue, just superheated water with nothing alive in it. And just so we're clear, you absolutely cannot touch this water. It will burn you badly. This isn't a swimming hole. It's one of the most beautiful and dangerous natural features on the planet. You look, you admire, you keep your distance. Number 3. Maldives Glowing Beach, Vatnajökull Island. Number 3. Top 3. And this one might be the most magical thing the ocean has ever done. Imagine standing on a beach in the Maldives. It's nighttime, no moon, just darkness. And then a wave rolls in, and it glows. Bright electric blue light spilling across the sand with every wave. The water pulls back, another wave comes in, and it lights up again, over and over, the entire shoreline pulsing with blue light like the ocean plugged itself into a power socket. This is Vatnajökull Island, and what you're seeing is real. No lights underneath the water, no special effects, just nature. The glow comes from tiny organisms called phytoplankton. They're so small you can't see a single one with your eyes, but there are millions of them in the water. And when a wave disturbs them, when anything moves the water around them, they flash. They produce light. Millions of them flashing all at once turns the entire wave into a glowing blue ribbon. Scientists have a name for this. They call it sea sparkle, And the effect is strongest on dark, moonless nights when there's no other light competing with it. Just pure blackness and glowing blue waves. People who've seen it in person all say the same thing. Pictures don't come close. You have to be there, standing barefoot in the sand, watching the ocean glow. Number 2. Aogashima, Japan. Number 2. We're one spot away from the top. And this place is so hidden, so remote, and so unbelievable that most people in Japan don't even know it exists. This is Aogashima, a tiny volcanic island sitting about 350 kilometers south of Tokyo in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And when you see it from above, your brain just stops for a second. Because what you're looking at is a volcano inside a volcano. A smaller volcanic cone sitting right in the center of a bigger volcanic crater, like nature built a bowl and then put a hill inside it. The outer walls of the island rise up steep and dramatic from the ocean. Inside those walls, the land drops down into this lush green crater filled with thick vegetation, trees, and life. And right in the middle, that smaller volcanic mound with steam rising from geothermal vents. And here's what makes it even crazier. People live here. About 170 of them. A tiny community on one of the most isolated islands in Japan. They use the geothermal heat from the volcano to cook food. They steam rice and eggs using the Earth's natural heat coming right out of the ground. Now, getting there is not easy. There's no airport, no runway. The only way in is by helicopter or boat. And both of those only run when the weather allows it. Bad weather? You're not going anywhere. You're stuck. Or you're waiting. An active volcano, 170 people, no easy way in or out. Just one spot left. Number 1. Son Doong Cave, Vietnam. This is it. Number 1. The most unreal place on planet Earth. And it's been hiding underground this whole time. This is Son Doong Cave in Vietnam, the biggest cave on the entire planet. And when I say big, I need you to forget everything you think a cave looks like. This isn't some dark tunnel you crouch through with a flashlight. This is a world. The main chamber is over 5 kilometers long, 200 meters tall, 150 meters wide in some spots. You could take a 40-story skyscraper, a full-size building, lay it down inside this cave, and it would fit, with room to spare. That's how massive this place is. But size isn't even the most incredible part. This cave has its own river running through it. It has its own jungle, real trees, real plants, real animals growing on the cave floor. How? Because in a couple of places, the ceiling collapsed a long time ago and left giant holes open to the sky. Sunlight pours in, rain falls in, and over time, a full living jungle grew inside the cave. Birds fly around in there. Monkeys have been spotted. There's an entire ecosystem that exists inside a hole in the ground. And because the cave is so enormous, the air inside behaves differently. Moisture builds up, temperatures shift, and actual clouds form inside the cave. Clouds floating through a cave. That sentence shouldn't make sense, but it's true. Now here's what really gets me. This cave wasn't discovered by the outside world until 2009. A local man named Ho Khan found the entrance back in 1991 while he was walking through the jungle. He heard wind and water coming from a hole in a cliff, but the drop inside was too steep, so he walked away and eventually forgot where it was. It took years before he found it again and led a team of British explorers to it in 2009. They went inside and realized they just found the largest cave on Earth. It had been sitting there for millions of years, and nobody knew. Today, only about 1,000 people per year are allowed to explore it, The expedition takes multiple days. You camp inside the cave. You climb, swim, and hike through the darkness, and it costs thousands of dollars. But the people who've done it, they all say the same thing. Nothing else on Earth comes close. And honestly, after going through all 40 places on this list, I believe them. So there you go, 40 places, all real. Every single one of them exists right now on this one little planet of ours. We saw mountains painted in rainbow colors, lakes that glow pink, a hole that's been burning for over 50 years, trees that haven't decomposed in 900 years, a cave so big it grows its own jungle and makes its own clouds. And all of it is just sitting here, on Earth, the same planet where you and I wake up every morning, eat breakfast, and go about our day. These places are sharing the same rock as us right now. But here's what really keeps me up at night. We haven't even found everything yet. Scientists say we've only explored about 5% of the ocean. There are still caves deep underground that no human has ever entered. Forests so thick and remote that no one has walked through them. Islands that don't show up on most maps. If these 40 places are what we've already found, imagine what's still out there waiting. Now, I want to hear from you. Out of everything we just covered, which place surprised you the most? Which one did you not believe was real until you saw it? Drop it in the comments. I read them. And if you want a part 2, because trust me, there are plenty more unreal places out there, just let me know. If enough of you ask for it, we'll make it happen. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It takes 1 second and it helps more than you think. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time. We make stuff like this all the time. All right, I'll see you in the next one.